Hello, and welcome to the Geeks presents Government Documents ASMR. Today we'll be reading from OMB Circular number A-130 to the heads of executive departments and agencies. Subject: Managing Information as a Strategic Resource. Introduction. Information and information technology resources are critical to the U.S. social, political, and economic well-being. They enable federal government to provide quality services to citizens, generate and disseminate knowledge, and facilitate greater productivity and advancement as a nation. It is important for the federal government to maximize the quality and security of federal information systems and to develop and implement uniform and consistent information resources management policies in order to inform the public and improve the productivity, efficiency, and effectiveness of agency programs. Additionally, as technology evolves, it is important that agencies manage information systems in a way that addresses and mitigates security and privacy risks associated with new information technologies and new information processing capabilities. These new information technologies and information processing capabilities also provide significant opportunities for agencies. The deeply embedded nature of IT in all federal agency missions and business processes, and the emergence of the digital economy, combined with the increasing interconnection of technology and public services, has changed the way we share information, changed the way we view and use technology, and has forever changed Americans' expectations. To meet expectations of the American people and facilitate innovation, the federal government must continue to transform itself to embrace and respond to the digital revolution by developing and maintaining a top-notch workforce and delivering secure, world-class digital services that serve the public. With IT at the core of nearly everything the federal government does, agencies must continually identify ways to apply new and emerging technologies that can fundamentally improve the way government works and delivers services to the American people in the most cost-effective way possible. Delivering world-class digital services requires the federal government to change its approach to buying, building, and delivering IT and information. This circular is designed to help drive the transformation of the federal government and the way it builds, buys, and delivers technology by institutionalizing more agile approaches intended to facilitate the rapid adoption of changing technologies in a way that enhances information security, privacy, and management of information resources across all federal programs and services. Purpose. This circular establishes general policy for the planning, budgeting, governance, acquisition, and management of federal information, personnel, equipment, funds, IT resources, and supporting infrastructure and services. The appendices to the circular also include responsibilities for protecting federal information resources and managing personally identifiable information, or PII. While it is the responsibility of all agency leadership, program managers, and staff to implement the requirements of this circular. Agency heads have ultimate responsibility for ensuring the requirements of this circular are implemented for their agency. Applicability. The requirements of this circular apply to the information resources management activities of all agencies of the executive branch of the federal government. The requirements of this circular apply to management activities concerning all information resources in any medium, unless otherwise noted, including paper and electronic information. When an agency acts as a service provider, the ultimate responsibility for compliance with applicable requirements of this circular is not shifted to the service provider. Agencies shall describe responsibilities of service providers in relevant agreements with service providers. Agencies are not required to apply this circular to national security systems, but are encouraged to do so where appropriate. For national security systems, agencies shall follow applicable statutes, executive orders, directives, and internal agency policies. Basic considerations. Federal information is both a strategic asset and a valuable resource. It enables the government to carry out its mission and programs effectively. It provides the knowledge of the government, society, economy, and environment, past, present, and future. Federal information is also a means to ensure the accountability of government, to manage the government's operations, and to maintain and enhance the performance of the economy, the public health, and welfare. Appropriate access to federal information significantly enhances the value of the information and the return on the nation's investment in its creation. The following are considerations reflect these principles. A. The free flow of information between the government and the public is essential to a democratic society. Therefore, the management of federal information resources shall protect the public's right of access to federal information. B. Government agencies shall be open, transparent, and accountable to the public. Promoting openness and interoperability subject to applicable legal and policy requirements increases operational efficiencies, reduces costs, improves services, supports mission needs, and increases public access to valuable federal information. C. Making federal information discoverable, accessible, and usable can fuel entrepreneurship, innovation, and scientific discovery that improves the lives of Americans and contributes significantly to national stability and prosperity, and fosters public participation in government. D. The federal government shall provide members of the public with access to public information on government websites. This responsibility includes taking affirmative steps to ensure and maximize the quality, objectivity, utility, and integrity of federal information prior to public dissemination, and maintaining processes for addressing requests for correction of information disseminated publicly. E. The open and efficient exchange of scientific and technical federal information, subject to applicable security and privacy controls, and the proprietary rights of others, fosters excellence in scientific research and effective use of federal research and development resources. F. Federal information is a strategic asset subject to risks that must be managed to minimize harm. G. Protecting an individual's privacy is of utmost importance. The federal government shall consider and protect an individual's privacy throughout the information lifecycle. H. While security and privacy are independent and separate disciplines, they are closely related, and it is essential for agencies to take a coordinated approach to identifying, managing security and privacy risks, and complying with applicable requirements. I. The design of information collections shall be consistent with the intended use of the information, and the need for new information shall be balanced against the burden imposed on the public, the cost of the collection, and any privacy risks. J. It is essential that the federal government minimize the federal information collection burden of the public, minimize the cost of its information activities, and maximize the usefulness of government information. K. Attention to the management of federal government records from creation to disposition is an essential component of sound information resources management that promotes public accountability. Together with records preservation, it helps protect the federal government's historical record and safeguards the legal and financial rights of the federal government and the public. Policy. Agencies shall establish a comprehensive approach to improve the acquisition and management of their information resources by performing information resources management activities in an efficient, effective, economical, secure, and privacy-enhancing manner, focusing information resources, planning to support their missions, implementing an IT investment management process that links to and supports budget formulation and execution, and rethinking the restructuring the way work is performed before investing in new information systems. A. Planning and budgeting. Agencies shall establish agency-wide planning and budgeting processes in accordance with OMB guidance. As discussed below, important components of planning and budgeting consist of developing and maintaining a strategy for managing and maintaining their information resources, referred to as the Information Resource Management, or IRM, strategic plan, as well as ensuring effective collaboration between agency leadership on budget activities. 1. Strategic planning. In support of agency missions and business needs, and part of the agency's overall strategic and performance planning process, agencies shall develop and maintain an IRM strategic plan that describes the agency's technology and information resources goals, including, but not limited to, the processes described in this circular. The IRM strategic plan must support the goals of the agency strategic plan required by the Government Performance and Results Modernization Act of 2010, or the GIPRA Modernization Act. The IRM strategic plan shall demonstrate how technology and information resources goals map to the agency's mission and organizational priorities. These goals shall be specific, verifiable, and measurable so that progress against these goals can be tracked. The agency shall review its IRM strategic plan annually alongside the annual performance plan reviews required by the GIPRA Modernization Act to determine if there are any performance gaps or changes to mission needs, priorities, or goals. As part of the planning and maintenance of an effective information strategy, agencies shall meet the following requirements in addition to all other requirements in this circular. A. Inventories. Agencies shall 1. Maintain an inventory of the agency's major information systems, information holdings, and dissemination products at the level of detail that OMB and the agency determine is most appropriate for overseeing and managing the information resources. And 2. Maintain an inventory of the agency's information systems that create, collect, use, process, store, maintain, disseminate, disclose, or dispose of PII to allow the agency to regularly review its PII and to ensure the extent reasonably practical, such as the PII is accurate, relevant, timely, and complete, and to allow the agency to reduce its PII to the minimum necessary for the proper performance of authorized agency functions. B. Information management. Agencies shall 1. Continually facilitate adoption of new and emerging technologies and regularly assess the following throughout the life of each information system: the inventory of the physical and software assets associated with the system, the maintainability and sustainability of the information resources and infrastructure supporting the system, and actively determine when significant upgrades, replacements, or disposition is required to effectively support agency missions or business functions and adequately protect agency's assets. And 2. Ensure the terms and conditions of contracts and other agencies and other agreements involving the processing, storage, access to, transmission, and disposition of federal information are linked to the IRM strategic plan goals and are sufficient to enable agencies to meet their policy and legal requirements. C. Risk management. Agencies shall 1. Consider information security, privacy, records management, public transparency, and supply chain security issues for all resources, planning, and management activities throughout the system development lifecycle so that risks are appropriately managed. 2. Develop a plan in consultation with the Chief Information Officers, or CIOs, Senior Agency Officials for Records Management, or SORMs, and Senior Agency Officials for Privacy, or SOAPs, for information systems and components that cannot be appropriately protected or secured, and ensure that such systems are given a high priority for upgrade, replacement, or retirement. 3. Regularly review and address risk regarding processes, people, and technology. And 4. Consult National Institute of Standards and Technology, or NIST, Federal Information Processing Standards, or FIPS, and NIST Special Publications, or SPs, such as 500, 800, and 1800 series guidelines. 2. Enterprise architecture. Agencies shall develop an enterprise architecture, or EA, that describes the baseline architecture, target architecture, and a transition plan to get to the target architecture. The agency's EA shall align to their IRM strategic plan. The EA should incorporate agency plans for significant upgrades, replacements, and disposition of information systems when the systems can no longer effectively support missions or business functions. The EA should align business and technology resources to achieve strategic outcomes. The process of describing the current and future state of the agency and laying out a plan for transitioning from the current state to the desired future state helps agencies to eliminate waste and duplication, increased shared services, close performance gaps, and promotes engagement among government, industry, and citizens. 3. Planning, programming, and budgeting. Agencies shall, in accordance with the Federal Information Technology Acquisition Reform Act, FITARA, and related OMB policy, A. Ensure that IT resources are distinctly identified and separated from non-IT resources during the planning, programming, and budgeting processes in a manner that affords agency CIOs appropriate visibility and specificity to provide effective management and oversight of IT resources. B. Ensure that the agency-wide budget development process includes the CFO, CAO, and CIO in the planning, programming, and budgeting stages for programs that include IT resources, not just programs that are primarily information and technology oriented. C. The agency head, in consultation with the CFO, CAO, CIO, and program leadership, shall define the processes by which program leadership works with the CIO to plan an overall portfolio of IT resources that achieve program and business objectives efficiently and effectively by 1. Weighing potential and ongoing IT investments and their underlying capabilities against other proposed and ongoing IT investments in the portfolio. And 2. Identifying gaps between planned and actual cost, schedule, and performance goals for IT investments and developing a corrective action plan to close such gaps. D. Ensure that the appropriate CIO approves the IT components of any plans through a process defined by the agency head that balances IT investments with other uses of agency funding. Agencies shall also ensure that the CIO or CIO is included in the internal planning process for how the agency uses information resources to achieve its objectives at all points in their life cycle, including operations and disposition or migration. E. Ensure that agency budget justification materials in their initial budget submission to OMB include a statement that affirms 1. The CIO has reviewed and approves the IT investment portion of the budget request. 2. The SAOP has reviewed the IT investments portion of the budget request to ensure that privacy requirements, as well as any associated costs, are explicitly identified and included with respect to any IT resources that will be used to create, collect, use, process, store, maintain, disseminate, disclose, or dispose of PII. 3. The CFO and CIO jointly affirm that the CIO had a significant role in reviewing planned IT support for major program objectives and significant increases and decreases in IT resources. And 4. The IT portfolio includes appropriate estimates of all IT resources included in the budget request. F. Ensure that the CFO, CAO, and CIO define agency-wide policy for the level of detail of planned expenditure reporting for all the transactions that include IT resources. 4. Business continuity planning. Agencies shall develop a business continuity plan. A business continuity plan to continue agency operations during times of service disruptions is essential. Therefore, agencies shall develop continuity strategies in order to ensure services and access can be restored in time to meet the mission needs. Manual workarounds shall be part of the plan so business can continue while information systems are being restored. B. Governance. In support of agency missions and business needs, and in coordination with program managers, agencies shall 1. Define, implement, and maintain processes, standards, and policies applied to all information resources at the agency in accordance with OMB guidance. 2. Require that the CIO, in coordination with appropriate governance boards, defines processes and policies in sufficient detail to address information resources appropriately. At a minimum, these processes and policies shall require that A. Investments and projects in development are evaluated to determine the applicability of agile development. B. Open data standards are used to the maximum extent possible while implementing IT systems. C. Appropriate measurements are used to evaluate the cost, schedule, and overall performance variances of IT projects across the portfolio, leveraging processes such as IT investment management, enterprise architecture, and other agency IT or performance management processes. D. There are agency-wide policies and procedures for conducting IT investment reviews, operational analyses, or other applicable performance reviews to evaluate IT resources, including projects in development and ongoing activities. Data and information needs are met through agency-wide data governance policies that clearly establish the roles, responsibilities, and processes by which agency personnel manage information as an asset and the relationships among technology, data, agency programs, strategies, legal and regulatory requirements, and business objectives. And F. Unsupported information systems and system components are phased out as rapidly as possible, and planning and budgeting activities for all IT systems and services incorporate migration planning and resourcing to accomplish this requirement. 3. Ensure that the CIO is a member of governance boards that inform decisions regarding IT resources to provide for early matching of appropriate information resources with program objectives. The CIO may designate, in consultation with other senior agency officials, other agency officials to act as their representative to fill aspects of this responsibility so long as the CIO retains accountability. 4. Require that information security and privacy be fully integrated into the system development process. 5. Conduct tech stat reviews led by the CIO, or use other applicable performance measurements to evaluate the use of agency information resources. The CIO may recommend to the agency head the modification, pause, or determination of any acquisition, investment, or activity that includes a significant IT component based on the CIO's evaluation, within the terms of the relevant contracts and applicable regulations. 6. Establish and maintain a process for the CIO to regularly engage with program managers to evaluate IT resources supporting each agency strategic objective. It shall be the CIO and program managers' shared responsibility to ensure that legacy and ongoing IT investments are appropriately delivering customer value and meeting the business objectives of the agency and the programs that support the agency. And 7. measure performance in accordance with the GIPRA Modernization Act and OMB Circular A-11 preparation, submission, and execution of the budget. C. Leadership and workforce. Agencies shall 1. Require that the Chief Human Capital Officer, or CHICO, CIO, CAO, and SAOP develop a set of competency requirements for information resources staff, including program managers, information security, privacy, and IT leadership positions, and develop and maintain a current workforce planning process to ensure that the agency can A. Anticipate and respond to changing mission requirements, B. Maintain workforce skills in rapidly developing IT environments, and C. Recruit and retain the IT talent needed to accomplish the mission. 2. Ensure that the workforce which supports the acquisition, management, maintenance, and use of information resources has the appropriate knowledge and skills to facilitate the achievement of the portfolio's performance goals and further evaluate the extent to which the agency's executive level workforce has appropriate information. More information is available at obamawhitehouse.archives.gov. Today's presentation reviewed pages 1 through 10. The document, being a hefty government document, extends to appendices all the way to 11-20. Feel free to reach out for this information, and thank you so much for listening.